Here we are. We're going to take a chance and do something very different. We're going to...
That's Vi Hilliard.
That's who?
Vi.
Vi Hilliard.
Vi, or Violet, her real name was.
She was from England. Joe
She-
met her in England.
She was in
In
England.
the Second World War when he worked over there in the army.
And that's Bill's mother. That's Edith. That's
Who?
your mom.
And that's Iris again?
And I don't know if that's Iris or Cheryl. It could be Cheryl. But I think it's Cheryl. But that's Bill's mom. That's Edith.
You know what's funny to me is I actually remember that nightgown.
She had a lot of them like that.
Remember that one?
That nightgown, or one like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a lot of stuff like that. That's Vi.
That's Vi?
Yes.
Look at all those flowers. That was a hedge around my mother's house, so that had to be her house.
That's hibiscus.
Yeah. That a gorgeous hibiscus hedge.
Where was that house?
And that house
The
was in
6300 Southwest 37th Way.
37th Street.
37th Street?
6300. Yep.
She sure was skinny, huh?
Oh yeah. She was thin most of her life. She sure was.
There seem to be two children there.
And Cheryl was born there. I remember her birthday
Here's Doc.
was December the 4th.
Walter George Steltz.
Walter George?
Walter George Steltz.
Yep.
I remember those jealousies.
Yeah, most of the houses in South Florida had them.
There's Doc.
Yep. I remember that old pump house out there in the backyard.
And that's the way he looked most of the time.
Yep.
He was a good man.
I like his old cars. What are those?
That is a Dodge. That was his brand new Dodge.
He always smiled.
I remember those tiles on the roof.
Yep, the old red barrel tile, Spanish tile they called them. At the front porch where our collie tore up all the furniture.
Yep. Lassie.
Lassie did?
Yeah, I was swinging on that awning and fell and busted my head wide open on them steps down there. I remember doing that too.
Ouch.
I
And
played
across the hill, the hedge there on the other side is where Vi lived.
across the street.
Vi and Joe live on the other side. You can see their house from there, right there.
Ah.
There was a street dividing it.
Vi is Bill's mother's sister-in-law because she's married to Joe Hilliard.
Oh, okay.
Joe Hilliard, the son of
Isn't this the house where you guys dated?
Huh?
Okay, 6300.
Yeah. This house was built around between 1946 and 1950. Then Doc had it built.
And there's Joe.
There's Joe.
The carpet factory, isn't it?
That is at the rug plant. 3165 Southwest 16th Terrace, Miami, Florida.
And that looks like, I don't know if that was your granddad or
Now that's part of the rug house.
And your dad worked there. This
I-
one here.
I
worked
think that
in
was her.
rug plant.
Isn't that your dad or your granddad?
No, this one right here, your father.
That's Joe. I can't tell who the other. Now the other guy is a black guy that worked for him the whole time they were there. His name was Archie.
There's Joe.
Yep.
He is still living today and he's 94 years old.
Wow.
Yep.
And Cheryl takes care of him.
Turn that light off.
Yeah, that's the house in Hollywood. That's
Yeah.
1939 Chrysler.
Look at me trying to get my head in there because she's not
Yeah.
paying attention to me like she
Yeah,
always
I built
does.
that post light.
Little goober. There's Michael.
Yep. I don't know. I don't recognize who the kids are.
That's your kids.
It's your children. It's Bill and Michael.
Yep.
And there's
There's
David. And Mom.
And that was me. Look at David.
He's a little cutie.
He was so cute.
He was, wasn't he? Little booger.
How cute. Oh, don't fall. Look at Michael.
Helping him up.
That house was bought for $8,500. Had a 20-year mortgage at $53 a month.
Wow.
And we put $500 down on it. In fact, my mother put the $500 down.
Now we're back to
Now
my
there's Big Grammy.
We're back to
That's
Coral
Bessie
Gables.
Hilliard. Prissy Bessie Hilliard.
Yeah.
Must have been Mother's Day or her birthday or something.
This isn't coming out as clear as I want it with that light on back there.
She was married to Joseph Hardy Hilliard Sr.
Take the time to turn that light off back there, Susan. Oh, that's her a bouquet on her shoulder or something.
Yeah. And that's a rose. I'm assuming my mother was crazy about roses. There's one rose still growing in this backyard right here that's left from my mother.
Yes, we have a rose bush that belonged to her.
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, I used to reweave those chairs when those things would break. You could buy that stuff in the rolls and just.
Isn't she prissy?
Mm-hmm. I always remember those long feet.
Be nice if those hibiscus would grow up here like they did down there.
Those are trumpets. Those aren't hibiscus.
Did you two used to sit in that backyard?
There's the dog.
That's a good picture of that.
Yep.
Sure is.
I remember his hair, that curly hair.
Uh-huh. Yep.
He liked to wear a tie now.
Oh yeah. Well, he was a drug inspector for the state of Florida,
Oh, I didn't know what he had done.
and worked
He was a pharmacist.
as a pharmacist also. And
Well, he was a pharmacist first,
yeah.
and he climbed and went to the top and went to the drug inspector for the state of Florida.
Wound up working as a inspector. In fact, he came up here to Graceville, brought me up here as a little boy, and took me into the drugstore up here
drugstore.
where Service Drugstore is.
Yeah.
To try to get Tom Crutchfield to give me something without a prescription so he could arrest him.
Wow.
Didn't work.
Didn't happen.
How
Tom
about
didn't
that?
bite.
How about that?
And Big Bill was just a little kid.
Yeah, I remember that. He thought a little kid would take sympathy and he'd just fall for it, but he didn't.
Wow. Good for Tom.
Yep.
That's Lorna.
Lorna Vavrick.
She was his mother's best friend.
For
She lived in the
years
back,
and years.
in the
Yep.
back, in the back of our house. There's your mom.
Yep.
That's a pretty one of her.
Yep. Sure is.
I have another film with these two. What'd you say her name was? Lorna?
Lorna
Maverick.
Vavrick.
Where they did a play, made their own little movie.
That was a Nash Rambler automobile, my mother's. She had to have a station wagon.
I think she's going to go by her next door neighbor's house, which is what, Vi, you said?
Yes, bye.
I lived right
Right
next
there.
door. Now Joe had a 19. Now that's going in the other direction.
That looks like your grandmother's house. No.
Well, no, that's right next door, I thought.
Yeah, they saw her pull out of the driveway. Now that looks like it might be Vi's house. What's that address?
I can't. 6337.
No, that's Lorna's house.
That's-
Okay, they went around the block. That's why the houses didn't look the same. Yeah, they were a couple of characters.
With their cigarettes.
Yeah.
They have that 50s look.
Mm.
What year do you think this might be?
This had to be in the early 50s, late 40s, early 50s.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't
Because the
think
house
so.
was built in 1946
Well-
to 49.
Well, you had
I'm going to
your kids were
disagree
in there.
with you because you and I had 3 children.
I think it was like 1960 or
And
59.
that's what I say because she was hugging David and Bill and Michael.
What year was David born?
David was born in 1960.
So this is probably 1961. That's what
That's what I would say.
Okay.
That makes sense. She
She
liked that
comes by
candle.
it earnestly. Her prancing, she gets it from her mother.
Uh-huh. How did her and Doc meet?
How did they meet?
Yes.
That I don't know. I know we were living at my grandmother's house where the rug plant was when they first started dating. In fact, we were all living in that house, including him after they got married. And that's when he built that house out there in the Gables.
Oh, that one there, he had that built?
Yeah, he had that house built in Coral Gables at 6300.
Oh, I didn't know that. They really loved their yard, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
I like the
I
way
hated it. It had an underground sprinkler system. It was all in iron pipes. Every time he'd tell me to cut the grass, I'd do my best to try to tear up a lawnmower hitting a sprinkler. Did pretty good at it, too. I busted a many a toe in that yard. Today they put sprinkler systems in with plastic, but they were galvanized iron
I
pipe.
wonder who's doing the filming.
Okay, that's all right.
That tank on the side of the house is an oil tank. That house had an oil furnace in the floor. That tank right back there.
Yeah, those chairs stayed in that yard for years. Those same chairs.
Yep. Yeah, you could, like I say, you could buy rolls of that stuff. They just folded over, you put a screw in them and held them in place.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Nothing to them.
I even remember that awning, that table with that awning.
Yeah, I vaguely do.
Seems to me there was a peach tree in the yard too.
Tree was full of avocado trees.
Now, where is that?
That's the rug plant. That's the house backyard before they closed it up, bricked it in, I think. No, it's not either. That is not.
This
Do
goes
not
by
know.
so fast, I wish it didn't.
Do not know where that is. Could be on one of their trips.
Yeah, this is, I think, on the way to Lake Okeechobee.
Yeah, the doc had an office, sub-office in Lake Okeechobee.
See those gas stations? And there's, looks like a little restaurant there. So we're right about at the end of it where I was going to go, because the rest of it from a certain point here is all Lake Okeechobee and just shots like this.
Yeah, that's where he worked at his office there at Bell Glade.
Oh. So you've been there.
Yeah, I was there. Been there a couple times.
So this is not Lake Okeechobee.
Yeah, Bell Glade is on Lake Okeechobee.
Oh.
But there was
He worked-
trailers, as I remember it, that was the state offices.
Right, and they go into those trailers here in a minute.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're-
that's at the lake. That's just one of the canals leading into the lake.
He worked that far away from home.
Yeah.
He worked all over the state.
Oh.
He was a big shot.
Hurricane Gate.
Who?
It says Hurricane Gate.
Yep. And them trailers.
I'll tell you what, though, he was a nice man.
Yeah, it's the station wagon. My mother's. I think if you could read it, it would say Rambler on there.
Yeah, one time I hid out in that car and pretended like I was, and when she called me, I wouldn't answer. And she was under the impression I had gone over to the canal across the street. And I peeked up, and she saw me, and I didn't know that she saw me. So she went inside and closed the door and just forgot all about me. I stayed in there for the longest time until I got out. She said, "You little stinker."
Mm-hmm.
Is that, I don't know where, that's the same place, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they had just locks, what they call locks, where they control the water flow. Pumping stations, all coming out of Lake Okeechobee.
Yeah, when we get to the See, I wasn't sure if it was Tamiami Trail or something like that. That's interesting to know. Look at the outhouse there.
Yeah. Looked like about a 53 or 4 Plymouth wagon we just saw a minute ago.
Yep.
They don't make Plymouths anymore.
No.
Hmm.
Maybe I should have brought 2 films.
You should have. This is interesting.
Hey,
I will. I'll do it again.
You
This
know,
is like going to the movies.
you can always leave this set up and just come back another night.
If you want me to, I will.
That's not in the way. Yep. How about you right now? Those canals are so full of alligators being protected in South Florida that you can't get anywhere near that water.
I wonder if it even looks anything like that anymore.
I doubt it, very seriously. Their population has moved all the way out, wall to wall people, all the way out to Tamiami Trail. Nothing like it was. I remember one time you get about, for $10 an acre, all the land you wanted out there west of Miami.
Wow.
But it was underwater.
Yeah, when I left Hollywood,
Yeah.
the land at the dump was going for over $30,000 an acre. I mean, a lot. I mean, serious. A lot, not an
Yeah.
acre.
Oh yeah, land on Miami Beach when we left was selling by the foot, not the lot.
Wow. Look at that old truck down there.
That's all. That is the lake.
They took me camping there to the lake one time. I had no idea that he'd worked there.
I imagine you probably stayed in town at the hotel or something, motel.
We had a campsite there somewhere around. I remember having a campsite there. I was on the lake.
Mm-hmm.
I went around the lake and pretended I was from England.
Yeah.
So it had to be in the mid-60s because I pretended I was the same town where the Beatles came from. So I kept talking like that and I pretended like I was from there. And I never gave it in. I never talked normal ever. I had those other kids fooled. At least I think I had them fooled.
It's just not a whole lot to talk about when you're looking at scenery.
I know. That's why I wasn't. When they get to the trailers, I'll cut it off there.
Is there a cutoff, or is there more film? Are you just gonna cut it off?
I'm just gonna cut it off because it's not after the trailers. You're not gonna see much.
It's scenery.
What are you gonna see?
Just this.
The old floodgates, so every time it had a hurricane, they could control the water flow.
Now, is that Doc?
I don't know.
I believe it was. I'm not positive, but
It just looked like him from the back.
so President Kennedy was our president at this time. That's odd. I didn't know what that was.
Wow.
Does the whole bridge lift up?
Yeah, that's a little house on the top, and the guy sits in there and opens and closes the floodgates.
Oh, it's not for ships. It's just for water.
Yeah. Canal Point, that was the name of that town there.
That's Doc.
Yeah, here you go. Now here's his offices.
Yep.
You can describe what these scenes are because I didn't have a clue.
All I know is they were trailers. I don't think I ever remember going in them myself. But he was a chemist doing a lot of work for the state.
Well, he was a smart man.
Mm,
Yeah, they're bringing something, unloading it there.
yeah. Notice how all the houses are built up off the ground so the water can run under them.
She went there.
Oh, yeah.
Realize this is almost 50 years ago?
Yep. It's hard to believe. And all this film stayed together?
Yeah.
Hmm. That's Lorna's husband.
Ah. So he was in the same
Frank
business.
Fabric.
Yep. His name was Frank.
What was the last name?
Fabric.
Vavrick.
With a V like in Victor.
Ah. You see that 60s beetle bug? They haven't changed any. Look at the taillight on that car right there.
Yeah, that's at Dodge.
Florida Department of Agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
It said food something. Now they're inside of it. Of course.
Doc also tested for bugs and, viruses and.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, Susan, you can turn that light back on.